Hey, Kris here. Welcome back to Through the Prism of Chrism. We're continuing for just a few days this week on our theme, In My Judgment. And if you've missed any of these, I hope you'll scroll down and check them out and catch up with us. Today, in Matthew 7 and verse 1, we've quoted it, "Judge not, that you be not judged." But right after that, he says, why do you behold the speck that's in your brother's eye and don't see the plank or the beam that's in your own eye? First cast the beam out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly to remove the speck out of your brother's eye. Now, I got a set of tweezers today, and I want to speak on delicate eye surgery, and I've got a few questions and a couple other points. And that is, number one, who appointed you over the ophthalmology department of your church anyway? I mean, just asking. Do you have a optometrist degree? Do you have any right to be picking around people's specks with your tweezers? It usually goes something like this. Now, Sister Jane has a speck in her eye, and so you come to her and say in privacy, "I feel like I need to say something, Sister Jane. Did you know that you have a speck in the corner of your left eye?" Well, the Greek word there is karphos. It means a dry twig or a wheat straw. Listen, anybody that's got a straw in the corner of their eye feels that irritant and is very well aware of their problem. They don't need reinforcement in it, and it's not your business to do it anyway. Number two, what is it about the speck that offends you so much? Notice this. Why do you behold the speck that's in your brother's eye? You behold it. It's as if you're fixated on it. It's the only thing you can see. You can't see the positive. You can't see any other good aspect about your brother's life because you are fixated on that one little issue. Now listen, if it was a giant sin or some great big problem, that's one thing. But we're talking about a little petty irritant, just a speck. And then number three, maybe you need to look your own self in the eye. I'm just saying, in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 31, when you come to the communion table, he said if a man would judge himself, he would not be judged. It's very interesting. You wanting to poke around with a set of tweezers, maybe to get the beam out of your eye, they're going to have to use a come-along jack or hook a winch up to pry that baby loose. He said first, look yourself in the own eye and get the plank out. Actually, he said cast out the beam. There's a lot of people say, I've got a casting out devils ministry. No, what you need is a casting out beams ministry. Then you can have a casting out devils ministry. And then number four, it's hard to fix what is not diagnosed. Now notice this. He said then, after you get the plank out, then you can see clearly to remove your brother's speck. In other words, now you have the authority to make accurate diagnosis. Dia means through, gnosis, our word know, and so it's you're now given the right to make diagnosis. Now it's true you can misdiagnose. It's interesting that we always receive the diagnosis of a doctor because he's got a degree. For instance, and you never fight against it. For instance, if he says, I diagnose that you have a low blood sugar, you don't bristle up and say, what? You telling me that I'm not sweet enough? Or if the mechanic gets out his diagnostics tool and says, I think you need a tune-up, you're sputtering a little bit. You don't bristle up and say, you telling me I can't sing, I need a tune-up? No. But when a preacher gives you a diagnosis and a preacher puts a finger on a speck in your eye, then you hit the ceiling. That's not right. And then number five, eye surgery is very delicate business, so you better use gentleness. Listen, you poke around somebody's eye with the tweezers, you can blind them for life and put their eyes out. So when you do deal with people, you need to be very gentle. Us preachers and leaders need to understand that when you're judgmental, it can be very detrimental. And then number six, the reason for removing the speck is so that your brother can see more clearly. Listen, it's not to imprecate, it's to improve. Let me remove it and help you. It's always to help a person, folks. It's not being critical and judgmental and saying, hey, you got a speck, but it's your brother we're talking about. And he said, we're doing this to restore one in the spirit of meekness. Well, hope you've enjoyed this little video, and now it's time to get the tweezers out, or maybe get the winch out, and check your own life out, and then you can diagnose other people's situations, okay, accurately. Kris here, In My Judgment. Tune in tomorrow. We've got more on this subject. Like if you like, share it with a friend, and have a great day in the Lord.